Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm here again to tell you more horror stories. Please comment what you want and subscribe. Let's go. Hello. I decided to send this story that happened to me. I'm Luis Ramirez, 19 years old, and I'm always looking for ways to make a little extra cash here in Oaxaca, where I live, close to the Colonia Heroes de la Independencia. There aren't many opportunities, so when this temporary job at the fair came up, I jumped on it right away. It was a simple gig, helping to inspect safety and the vendors, making sure everything was up to code. It wasn't a big deal, just walking around with the supervisor and jotting down what he said. The fair was huge, full of food stalls, games, and weird attractions. I was even enjoying it, meeting a bunch of different people. But then, during one of those rounds, something happened that made me quit the next day. I don't even know how to explain it properly, but I'm gonna tell you how it went down. Sit down, because this story's kind of weird. It was late afternoon, sun was already setting, and the crowd at the fair was starting to pick up. My supervisor, a guy named Don Miguel, called me over to go with him to one of the more out-of-the-way. Booth sit was a tent kind of hidden away, with a handwritten sign that said Exhibit of Oddities. The place looked old, the tent fabric was torn in spots, and there was a weird smell like dampness mixed with something rotten. Don Miguel said we needed to check if everything was okay there, because there'd been some complaints.
I wasn't.
Too thrilled about going in, but it was my job, right? So I followed him. Inside there were a ton of creepy things, like stuffed animals and jars with creatures preserved in liquid. The lighting was dim, just some flickering yellowish bulbs. That already made me uneasy, but the worst was still to come. We walked through this narrow aisle, passing by display cases full of bizarre stuff. There was a frog with 2 heads in a jar, a featherless bird that looked poorly stuffed, things like that. Don Miguel was mentioning that we needed to see if anything there was illegal, like protected animals or something. I just listened and nodded, wanting to get out of there as soon as possible. Then, the owner of the tent, a skinny guy with a strange look in his eyes, came over to talk to us. He had a raspy voice, like he'd been smoking for years, and told us we could look at everything but not to touch anything. He pointed to a black curtain in the back and said it was just storage, nothing interesting. Of course, that only made me more curious. Don Miguel asked what was back there, and the guy gave a crooked smile before saying it was just old junk.
Don.
Miguel wasn't buying it and insisted we take a look. The tent owner didn't look happy, but he finally pulled back the curtain. Behind it was an even smaller space, with boxes stacked up and a bunch of clutter. But what caught my eye was a small rusted cage tucked away in a corner. There was something inside, something I couldn't quite make out at first. The light wasn't great, but I could tell it was some kind of animal, just ... weird. It was skinny, completely hairless, with grayish, wrinkled skin. Its legs and arms were way too long, out of proportion, like dry twigs. I swear it looked wrong, like it wasn't natural. I stepped a little closer, even though the tent owner was giving me a dirty look. I wanted to figure out what it was. That's when I heard a noise, a low, guttural sound, like the creature was trying to talk. It wasn't a squeak or a growl. It was something that sounded like ... words, you know? But I couldn't make out anything. It was muffled and odd. My stomach turned right then and there.
Ow.
Don Miguel heard it too and asked the owner what that
Thing was.
The guy just shrugged and said it was a sick animal they found near a swamp. He mentioned they didn't really know what it was, just put it in a cage to show it off. But then he added in a more serious tone that we shouldn't get too close. I asked, why, still trying to make sense of that weird sound that wouldn't leave my head. The tent owner glanced around like he was checking if anyone else was listening and said quietly that people who got too close to the cage ended up getting sick. He said some workers who cleaned that area came down with fevers, headaches, stuff like that, and no one knew why. He laughed like it was a joke, but I didn't find it funny at all. Don Miguel stayed quiet too, just scribbling something in his notebook. I felt a heaviness in my chest, an urge to bolt out of there. That sound from the creature seemed to echo in my mind, like it was trying to tell me something. We didn't stick around much longer. Don Miguel finished asking his questions, and the tent owner quickly closed the curtain again, like he wanted to hide it fast. We stepped out of the tent, and the cool night air helped ease the discomfort a bit. But I couldn't stop thinking about that creature, that rusted cage, that sound that seemed like words. Don Miguel just said he'd write up a report and send it to the fair organizers. He seemed fine, but I wasn't okay at all. My mind was racing, wondering what that could have been. Was it really just a sick animal? Or was there something more the owner wasn't saying? I walked home because I live near the fairgrounds. The path was quiet, just the sound of my footsteps, and some dogs barking in the distance. But I swear, every now and then, it felt like I heard that sound again, that weird murmur, like it had followed me. I knew it was all in my head, but I couldn't shake the feeling. I got home, locked the door, and went straight to my room. My mom asked if everything was all right because I looked shaken up. I just told her I was tired and needed sleep. The truth is, I didn't sleep well that night. The next day, I woke up with a lump in my throat. I couldn't stop thinking about that thing in the cage. I tried to convince myself it was just a sick animal, like the owner said, but something inside me told me it wasn't that simple. I decided I wasn't going back to that job. I called Don Miguel and made up an excuse, told him a family issue came up and I couldn't keep working. He didn't even question it much, just said it was fine, and he'd find someone else to help. I know it might seem like I'm a coward, but I didn't want to go anywhere near that tent again. Just thinking about that sound made my stomach churn. I spent the next few days trying to forget what I saw. I went back to my routine, helping my uncle at a shop nearby, but it's no use. Sometimes when I'm just sitting there, it feels like I hear that murmur again. I try to ignore it, but it's like it's etched into my memory. I told my friends what happened, but they just laughed, said I was overreacting. One even said it was probably just a big rat or something, but I know what I heard, and it wasn't just a rat. It was something that didn't look right. Something that gave me a bad feeling I can't explain. I went back to the fair a few days later, just to see if the tent was still there. I don't know why I did that. I guess I wanted to prove to myself. It wasn't a big deal. But when I got to the spot, the tent was gone. It was just an empty space, with some marks on the ground where the stakes had been. I asked a candy vendor nearby if he knew where they'd gone. He said the owner of the oddities tent packed up all of a sudden and left without notice. No one knew why, just that he seemed in a hurry. That just made me even more curious. I tried looking online for weird animals found in swamps or something like that, but I didn't find anything that matched what I saw. There were some pictures of deformed creatures from radiation or diseases, but none made that strange sound. The more I think about it, the more I'm left without answers. Is it really just a sick animal, or was there something more I didn't? Get the tent owner knew more than he was letting on, I'm sure of that. But now he's gone, and I've got no way to ask. I'm just stuck with this question in my head. Sometimes I catch myself staring out the window at night, like I'm expecting to see something. I know it's silly, but I can't help it. My mom's noticed I've been kinda distracted, but I don't want to worry her with this story. She'd probably say it's all in my head or that I should stop thinking about it, but it's not that easy. It's that sound, that murmur, feels like it's never gonna leave. I try to keep busy with other stuff, but it always creeps back into my mind when I least expect it. It's been almost 2 weeks since I saw that creature, and I still don't know what to think. I try to tell myself it was just something weird, nothing to worry about. But at the same time, I wonder if I did the right thing by quitting. What if I'd stayed? Would I have figured something out? Or was it better to just get out of there? I don't know. All I know is I don't want to go through something like that again. Fairs and oddity tents aren't for me anymore. I'd rather stay in my lane, far from anything strange. I talked to a buddy who works at the city office to see if he knew anything about that tent or the owner. He said there was no record of it, that it was a temporary attraction and no one really checked the paperwork. That just made me more uneasy. How do they let someone set up something like that without verifying? What if there was something dangerous in that cage? Did other people see what I saw, or was I the only dummy who got too close? I don't know, and I don't think I ever will. I'm thinking about working at fairs again in the future, because the money helps a lot. But honestly, I'm going to be real picky about where I get involved. No weird tents or places that give me bad vibes. I I've learned my lesson. If something looks off, I'm turning around and walking away. I don't want to get mixed up in things I don't understand again. That cage and that creature are the kind of memory I don't want to relive. Just thinking about it gets me antsy. Up to now, I haven't told this story to many people. I'm scared they'll think I'm crazy or making it up. But I swear it's true. Every word. I saw that thing. I heard that sound. And I felt something I can't describe. Maybe one day I'll be able to put this behind me. But right now it's hard. Every time I hear a strange noise at night, my heart races. I know it's just in my head, but I can't help it. It's like a part of me is still in that tent. If you've been through something like this, you get me. It's the kind of thing that shakes you in a way you can't explain. It's not just fear. It's a mix of doubt, curiosity, and a weight that doesn't go away. I don't know what that creature was, and maybe I never will. I just hope that wherever the tent owner went, he keeps that cage far away from other people. I wouldn't wish this feeling on anyone since that day, so that's it. My story doesn't have a happy ending or an explanation. I just have this memory that won't let me rest. If anyone knows of something similar or has seen anything like this around Oaxaca, let me know. Maybe it'll help me understand what happened. For now, I'm trying to move on with my life, but I'll admit it's not easy. That sound still echoes in my head, and I don't know if it'll ever stop. I'm just hoping time will help me erase this from my mind. Good night. I came to share my strange story that happened to me. I'm Maria Elena Gomez, a single mom, and I'm almost 40 years old now. But there's a story from about 8 years ago that still ties my stomach in knots. Back then, my daughter Sophia was just 6 years old, a curious little girl who was always laughing at everything. We lived in Suthith, Victoria, close to the Hero de Nakozari neighborhood, and that week there was a small fair nearby. It was one of those simple fairs with food stalls, a few rides for kids, and a nice late afternoon vibe. I decided to take Sophie to have a little fun, because being a single mom isn't easy, and we deserved a light-hearted moment. We got there around 5 in the afternoon. The sun was still up, but starting to dip. She was all excited, begging for cotton candy and wanting to ride the bumper cars. I just wanted to see that smile of hers, you know? So I let her enjoy herself while I kept a close eye on her. After a while of walking around the stalls, Sophia said she needed to use the bathroom. There were some portable toilets there, those chemical ones, blue, kind of old, but they looked clean enough. I waited outside while she went into one of them. It was quiet in that part of the fair. You could only hear the laughter and music coming from the farther stalls. I was leaning near the door, scrolling on my phone, when all of a sudden, I heard Sophia giggling inside. I thought she was just playing by herself, but then I heard her say something like, "Stop, you're tickling my hand." My heart skipped a beat because she was alone in there, right? I was totally confused, but I waited for her to come out. To ask what was going on when the door opened, Sophia came out laughing in that cute way she does. And I immediately asked her what happened. She told me she felt someone tickling the palm of her hand, like fingers brushing against it. At first I laughed, thinking it was just her imagination, but she insisted she really felt it and that the fingers were cold. I got a little uneasy, because what's this about cold fingers? There was no one in there with her. I looked inside the toilet, which was tiny, just the seat and plastic walls. There wasn't room for anyone else. No hole or crack where a hand could have reached through. That left me puzzled. But I tried not to show Sophia I was worried so she wouldn't get scared as we were leaving that area. I saw a lady who worked cleaning at the fair, sweeping near the stalls. She noticed I looked concerned and asked if everything was okay. I told her what Sophie had said, kind of embarrassed, thinking she'd laugh at me. But the lady got serious, lowered her voice, and said those toilets were set up on top of an old, unmarked burial plot. She mentioned it wasn't the first time they'd heard of weird stuff happening there. That sometimes people felt or heard things they couldn't explain. That hit me hard because I've never believed in stuff like that, but hearing it from someone who worked there really got me nervous. I grabbed Sophia's hand and told her we were leaving, even though she kept begging to stay a little longer. I wasn't in the mood for the fair anymore. I just wanted to get home and lock the door. On the way, I stayed quiet, thinking about what the lady had said. What if it was true? Or was it just Sophia imagining things? But she was so sure of what she felt, and I know kids don't make up stuff like that out of nowhere. My stomach was churning, and I just held her hand tight. When we got home, I gave her a bath, put her to bed. But I couldn't sleep a wink that night. Days later, I tried talking to Sophia about it again, just to see if she remembered. She said the same thing, that she felt cold fingers on her hand, but she didn't see anyone. She said she wasn't scared, that it made her laugh. But for me, it wasn't funny at all. Just this uneasy feeling that wouldn't go away. I'm not one to believe in otherworldly things, but how do you explain something like that? Was it just her imagination, or was there something there I couldn't see? I don't know, but that night, I couldn't stop turning it over in my head. I tried to calm down, but it wasn't easy at all. I tried looking up stuff about that place, about the supposed burial ground the lady mentioned, but I didn't find anything solid. I just heard from other folks in the neighborhood that the area always had some weird stories. People feeling things or seeing shadows. I don't know if I believe that, but I can't just brush it off like I used to. Just thinking about it, I get this heavy feeling in my chest, wondering what could have touched my daughter's hand. I avoided going near that fair after that, even if they held other events there. For me, that place is burned into my mind as somewhere I don't want to step foot in again, to this day. Whenever Sophia talks about going to fairs or parks, I get a little hesitant. I know she doesn't remember that day with any fear, but I can't forget it. What if there really was something there, something we can't see? I don't even like dwelling on it for too long. I just know that, as a mom, my instinct is to protect, and this feeling of not knowing what happened still bugs me. I try to convince myself it was just her imagination, but deep down, I'm not so sure. Sometimes I think it's better to leave those things alone without trying to figure them out. But the doubt lingers, you know? It's always in the back of my mind. I haven't told this story to many people, because I know they'll think it's silly or that I'm overreacting. But anyone who's been through something like this knows how it feels. This sense that something isn't right. It's not fear, it's more like an unease, something that doesn't let you rest. Sophia is fine, growing up healthy, and that's what matters. But every now and then, I see her playing and remember that day. Was what she felt just a kid thing, or was there something more? I don't know, and I don't think I'll ever know for sure. I just hope we never go through anything like that again. After that day, I started paying more attention to the things around me, the places we go. I'm not paranoid or anything, but it's like I've got an extra sense turned on now. Whenever I see a portable toilet or a more isolated spot, I think twice before letting Sophia go alone. I know it might seem silly, but for me, it's just being careful. That moment at the fair marked me in a way I can't ignore. I try not to think about it too much so I don't stress myself out, but it's hard. Life goes on, you've got to work, take care of the house, but some things stick in your memory. And this is definitely one of them, no question. I talked to a friend about this once, and she said maybe it was just the wind or something Sophia mistook for fingers. Could be right. But what about what the cleaning lady said? Was she just trying to scare me? Or does she know something I don't? Those questions keep swirling in my head every now and then. I'm not the type to go chasing answers for everything, but this really got to me. I'd rather believe it was just a coincidence, but some days I can't convince myself. I think it's normal, isn't it, to be left with doubts after something? So odd, if I could go back in time, I might not have taken Sophia to that fair. Or at least I would have gone into the bathroom with her, even if it was cramped. But you don't predict stuff like that, do you? Life happens, and sometimes it throws surprises at you that you don't expect. I just know that, since that day, I get a tightness in my chest when I think about that place. It's not something I can explain well. I just feel it. I try to focus on the present, on the day-to-day, but the memory of that moment doesn't fade. I think it's going to stay with me forever, whether I want it to or not. Sometimes I catch myself looking at old photos of Sophia at that age, so small and innocent. And I remember how she laughed coming out of that bathroom, not having a clue how much it shook me. Kids are like that, aren't they? They forget fast. They don't dwell on things like we do. But me, as a mom, I carry it. It's not something I can let go of so easily. I try not to pass that burden on to her, of course, but I can't help thinking about it. Was what happened something unexplainable, or am I just making a problem out of nothing? I don't know how to say. It's been a while since I've gone by that area near Hiro de Nakazari, where the fair was. I don't even know if they still hold fairs there, but I don't want to find out either. For me, that place has a vibe that doesn't sit right with me. I know it might sound like superstition, but that's how I feel. I'd rather stay away. Avoid anything that reminds me of that day. My life's full of other issues to deal with, bills to pay, but this always comes back. I don't know if I'll ever be able to look back and laugh about it. For now, I just try to keep moving forward. Sophia's asleep. Sometimes I sit there watching her and think about how much she's grown. She's 14 now, almost a young lady, and she doesn't remember that day. But I remember every detail. The sound of her laugh, the face of the cleaning lady. It's funny how some things stay so vivid in your memory. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but that's how it is. I just pray nothing weird happens to us again. I think we've had our share of strange stuff for a good while. I just want peace, you know? It's all a mother asks for. Maybe one day I'll tell this story to Sophia when she's older. She might find it funny, or maybe she'll remember something she didn't tell me back then. But for now, I keep it to myself. I don't want to scare anyone, or give the impression I'm someone who believes in everything. I just know what happened marked me in a way I didn't expect. It's not something I can erase from my mind, even if I try. Life goes on, but some memories stick, and this is one that doesn't let go, no matter how much I try. Writing this down here is kind of like venting, getting a bit of this weight off my chest. I don't know if anyone will believe me or understand, but just putting it into words already helps. Maybe someone's gone through something similar and knows how this feels. I'm not looking for answers. I just want to share what I lived through. That fair, that bathroom, those words from the lady, ... It's all in my head. What it was? I don't know what touched my daughter's hand. I might never know. I just know I'm going to carry this with me for a long time.